All right, it's time to start cutting voids. Layer 1 will go first. I'm going to put it into place. I want to mark out where I cannot tape so I can put my, there we go. So now I'm going to put my tape down and I'm going to make sure I stay out of this area, and this area. And obviously there's no sense putting tape over here as there is no template there anyway. So I'll tape my template into place and I will cut my void. Okay, I'm ready to route the void. So now is a real good time to prepare my router to cut that void. Because I'm cutting a void, the first thing I'm going to do is put my bushing on. And then I'm going to set the depth. Let's use this one. This is the piece of wood I'm inlaying into the void that I'll be cutting. So I want the router bit to basically be almost flush with the height of this inlay material. And the inlay material itself is just about the same height as the base material. So I think I'm going to leave my router bit right where it's at, and I'll have to do a little bit of sanding. If I made the void as deep as this is thick, I would cut all the way through my base material, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to have to sand this material down. That's my only other option. Okay, as you can tell, the first pass has been made, but I still got these little knobby things over here that I want to address. And if you look up here carefully, you know, this corner right here, it needs to be routed out a little cleaner too. So for this next pass, like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to plunge my router bit into the void. I'm going to push the bearing all the way against the template wall, and I'm going to make one pass with the bearing constantly in contact with the wall, and that will clean up this edge over here very nicely. Then I'm going to come back forth and find these little knobbies and get rid of them too. All right, that looks pretty good, so I'm going to take my template off. I've noticed in here that there's a couple of little knobby type of things, so I'm just going to take a paint scraper and flatten this out just a little bit. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with my void now. The next thing I'm going to do is pre-fit my piece into that void, see how it fits. And actually it looks like it's going to fit in there very, very nicely. Don't push in too far, because if it pushes in too far, it's really hard to get back out. But if you do, you can use your paint scraper and gently lift it out. The next thing to do is just smear some glue in here, and I'm going to put a lot of glue on this piece of wood. This is a very dry wood, like I mentioned earlier, and it will drink up glue. I mentioned earlier this piece of wood was really pretty thick, so I had to make this void a little bit shallower than I'd really like. Because it is so much shallower, I now have to sand this piece of wood down to get it flat. When I'm sanding, I gotta make sure I do not erase my registration marks, and I only sand this area right here. Now that it is in place, it is time to do what I just did with layer 1, this time using layer 2. So I'm going to now, well, I'm going to clean off all my dust. Pretty dusty after sanding. Okay, I'm going to position layer 2 into place. Then I'm going to cut out all this void, and then I'm going to assemble this piece into that void. Okay, my template has been affixed. Nothing is moving at all. The router depth has already been set, so now it's just route out the void. All right, first pass has been made. Just like last time when I cut out the void for the ear up here, my next pass I'm going to start off, I'm going to put the bushing right next to the side of the template wall, and I'm going to make one pass all the way around the entire shape, just so I have a nice sharp edge all the way around. Then I'm going to come back and find these little knobby guys and get rid of them. Pre-fit my piece, see how we did here. Oh, once again, I think this is just going to push into place nicely, so I'm just going to glue it up. Okay, layer 2 has now been completed. All right, layer 3. These are the 4 pieces that I am going to be putting into my inlay, and all 4 of them are slightly different heights. They all have different thicknesses. Anyway, I'm going to set the depth of plunge for this thickness first, then I'll cut out these 2 voids, then I'm going to reset the depth and cut for this thickness and cut out these 2. I'm going to put this here and here as a reminder not to cut out those 2 spots. Okay, now I am going to reset my depth of plunge for this thickness, and then I will route out those 2 voids. And by the way, remember when we cut out these 2 pieces, how close they are in shape and size? That's why you write on it. Right now I can see L3, piece 2. Yeah, that's this one. This guy is fitting in, so this one I do not need to sand. All of these others I need to touch up real quick. So what I'm going to do is this is this is 320 grit sandpaper right here. All I'm going to do is I'm going to sand a slight bevel on the bottom of it. Just kind of do something like that on it. I want to remove any burrs that might be here on the edge. And then I'm just going to put a slight bevel on the bottom. So all of my pieces have been pre-fit and they look like they're going to fit in there nicely now. So all I have to do is glue them into place. By the way, when I put tape on, I very seldom put tape on an existing inlay. Rather, I'll put the tape on the outside of the inlaid pieces. Just in case the glue hasn't dried, I don't want to pull it out when I lift the tape off. The depth of plunge last time I set it was set for this piece of wood right here. So all these are about the same height, so I'm going to leave the depth of plunge just the way it is, and I'm just going to route these 3 voids out and be done with her. Only one thing left to do. And that is to cut out the ornament. Anyway, set the depth of your plunge again. This bushing, take it off. You are cutting inlays, bushing off. Make sure, bushing off. Now to set the depth's a little different on this one. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put my router right here and plunge down. And see, I can move back and forth, and until I start making a scratch mark on the MDF below, then I know I have not cut all the way through here. So I know I need to raise my, or lower my depth of plunge quite a bit. So to do that, I'm going to do it this way. All I did was I loosened my major adjustment on my DeWalt, and I pushed all the way down until the router bit hits the MDF. Then I just tighten up my major control, lift up, and you'll notice now there are scratch marks down there, so I know I will be cutting all the way through. Now this material, it's pretty thick. It is this thick. I don't want to make this in one cut. I want to make at least 2 passes around here. So on my first pass, I am only going to go about halfway down and route all the way around. I'll clean out the debris, I'll lower the plunge and see how that goes. Maybe I'll cut it in 2 passes, maybe 3, but this is a hard wood, so I'll definitely do it in at least 2 passes. Okay, nothing is moving. Bushing is off. Here we go. Okay, as you can tell, I haven't gone all the way through, so I'm going to make my second pass, and it should cut the rest of the way through. Okay, that was 150 grit sandpaper. Now I'm going to go to 220 grit. Okay, so pretty smooth here. I've got some gaps I want to fill. Just a couple of small gaps here. There's a few. There's a couple line right there. And then there's a little right here too. So I will fill those. And the way I will do that is take a little glue and just smear it into the cracks. Alrighty, our ornament is here and ready to have finish applied.